This is an update in regards to my last video where I discussed the Delorean power button mod. Um, as you can see in these pictures here, switching the switch, the three-way switch, switching it one way turned on the headlights, the side lights, the cabin lights, the rear lights, and then switching the button to the far other side turned on the hover mode lights only. But what we want and what originally it did before I modified the power switch button is that you would have both of those effects combined, so everything would be all on at once. As you can see in this collage picture here, that the upper is one switch, the lower picture is the other switch. However, with that switch that I showed in that previous video, those are not combined, so you don't get the full illumination as hoped. So taking a look at the JST connectors that are connected in on the PCB underneath the power button switch from the previous video, I had said that the one on the far left was for partial illumination. The first one here on the front right was for full illumination, and then the one on the back right was your power neutral on off. However, I didn't know until I made the switch and got it hooked up and actually did this video that that's not entirely correct. So looking at this connector layout, and again, this is a view if you were to access the PCB from the driver's side front rear well and looking at it from the side, that left connector, that's basically powers the headlights, the interior cabin, the rear lights, the side lights. The first one on the right, the front one, that is for hover mode lights only. It doesn't include any other lights. So it's just going to be the wheel wells and then the lights underneath the DeLorean. And then again, the back right, that is going to be your neutral power on off. So when I made this custom switch here, this custom mechanical toggle switch, double pole, double throw, what I did was the middle wire, that was going to be my power on off, that's my neutral. And then either one on the top or the bottom, that was going to be for partial illumination and full illumination. However, when I connected it, recorded the video, and took a look at how it illuminated after I posted the video, one of those does the partial illumination, but it's really the headlights, interior cabin, side lights, and tail lights. And then when I switched to the other cable, that is the hover mode lights only, so wheel wells and then underneath the DeLorean. What I was hoping to do is that when I switched from the initial illumination, so just basically the headlights, cabin lights, tail lights, side lights, to the other cable, I was hoping that they would be combined and everything would illuminate at once. Obviously, that didn't happen. And so what the PCB on the DeLorean does is that it basically modifies or it combines those two together for you when you hit the button that second time before you do any modifications. And so I played around with the switch a little bit. I said, hey, maybe if I did the first one and left it alone the way it was, that would do my headlights, cabin lights, side lights, tail lights. And if I connected the hover light mode to the other connector in series as opposed to separate, when I toggled over and closed basically the circuit, it would illuminate everything all at once. And so in theory, that does work. However, when you're talking about doing a series circuit, you're reducing the voltage that's applied to all the electronics within that circuit. And so in this case, when I tested out doing the switch in that way, adding in that hover mode in series to the rest of the lights, there's not enough voltage supplied, so the hover mode lights didn't come on. And so I needed to come up with another way to basically allow for one mode being the headlights, cabin lights, side lights, tail lights, and then another mode to add to that the wheel well hover mode and then the underneath hover mode. What I ultimately came up with was deciding to use two switches. And so one switch controls the headlights, side lights, cabin lights, tail lights. The other switch controls the hover mode, wheel well, and underneath the DeLorean. And I basically connected the power on off neutral in parallel so that way I'm not decreasing my voltage when I turn both of those switches on. And so in theory, this new setup for this switch will allow me to do just the headlights, side lights, cabin lights, tail lights by themselves, just the hover mode lights, wheel wells, and underneath the DeLorean by themselves, or turn them both on, and both of those functions would be combined to illuminate basically everything at once.
All right, now that I got the new switches built and installed, let's see how it works out. So we'll turn this guy on. All right, a lot better. Headlights are on, side lights are on, compartment lights are on. Let's try the other switch to see if the hover lights come on. Perfect. Hover lights come on. Let's turn this one off for just hover lights. All right, just hover lights. And let's test each one of these out now. Alexa, turn off my displays.
Okay.
Alexa, turn on my displays.
Okay.
Good. Let's turn this guy off. Let's turn these back on. Alexa, turn off my displays.
Okay.
Alexa, turn on my displays.
Okay.
Now let's try both of them on at the same time. Alexa, turn off my displays.
Okay.
Alexa, turn on my displays.
Okay.
So that's 3 configurations. I can do just the front lights, side lights, interior compartment. I can do just the hover mode, or I can have them all on together at the same time. That's a wrap.